to this month's segment of Words of the Wise. My name is Sarah Andrews. I'm one of the co-founders of Crave Theater, and thank you for being here. For the month of February, our topic is going to be race in theater, and we've broken this down into two parts for you. So, for this first segment, we will be interviewing Jennifer Lanier. That's the interview you will be watching today. And then for our second part, we will be interviewing James Dixon and Kristen Munn. That interview will be released on February 29th. We hope you get as much out of these interviews as I have, and please enjoy. All right, hello. We are sitting here with Jennifer Lanier. Jen just recently became a board member for Crave Theater, which is awesome. And Jen, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself right now?
Oh, sure. Let's see. I came to Portland by way of Hawaii, where I lived for about 7 years or so. And before that, I was raised in North Carolina. And so really spent the first, 40 years there in North Carolina. And that was awesome. Because, the South and all the things. It's, I actually am a very proud Southerner. I love being a Southerner. I went to a conservatory in the South, and I feel very happy about that. We hear a lot about the Northeastern schools, but there's some pretty awesome schools below the Mason-Dixon. I went to the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, which was the first public arts conservatory. The state got a mandate to create an art school. We had this really amazing governor named Terry Sanford years back in the 60s who said, that's what we need. We want North Carolina to really grow some wonderful artists and stuff. And, back in the 60s, early 60s, when he, put that out there, there were people in the legislature who weren't sure why they should appropriate money for, a bunch of fairies dancing about. I mean, really, that's like that's like a quote,
Oh.
Yeah, I know. But because this particular governor was like all about education, improving education in North Carolina, and that meant education all the way around. Mm-hmm. For lots of folks, for everybody, really. And it's why that school is an extraordinary school. It's always ranked in one of the top 5 schools in the country. So, I feel lucky that I went there. And I went there and, got my Shakespeare card there and everything. And classical training, as it were. And then I connected with an amazing guy named Robert Moyer, who was on faculty at the School of the Arts. He wasn't ever my teacher because he taught the pre-professional program, but what he was teaching with the violist bowling and stuff was just totally interesting to me. And he worked with Paul Sills, who was an amazing man, a first director of Second City and all that. And so Bob had been working with Paul Sills for years and years and years, worked with his mother, Violist Bowling, first. So I got connected with all these super cool people who worked with Sills, and it worked with Second City, and it just exploded my actor brain, And I mean, it took a while to really all that to mesh, but what finally happened was I became this classical actor who could absolutely improvise like crazy. My improvisational skills got really honed well, which was useful in that I ended up becoming a co-artistic director of an improvisational Shakespeare company. So there you are. OpsFest, Original Practice Shakespeare Festival, is close to my heart as well. And I've been doing a lot of stuff. I mean, it's helped me in the TV work that I've done and the film work, particularly, I think. And of course, the theater work here has been interesting. I've gotten to play with lots of very cool theaters here with Portland Center Stage and with Profile and with Third Rail and Portland Playhouse, and I just get to have a lot of fun, as an actor now. But we'll talk about that. Let's see.
Yeah,
I don't know what. Yeah, I have a dog and a cat, and who are just wild people right now and are incredibly quiet at the moment. So we're going to hope that stays. I also have two sons whom I did not plan on. I didn't plan on being a parent, but I fell in love with a woman with two children. And so what are you going to do? I thought, sure, I'll move into the parenthood. That's fine. And they have been an unexpected joy and treasure in my life. I would not be this person were it not for those two young men who I'm incredibly proud of. I didn't know you could do that, but people say, "Oh, children change you." I'm like, yeah, they do, and for good ways, So that's me. And of course my beautiful wife, and all of that. So yeah, that's why, that's where I come from. That's how I get here.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome, and that's a lot of things I did not know about you, which is really cool.
Yes.
So we should probably get into why we're here. So I should be honest and say that, like, back in January, when I was conceiving this project, I was like, one interview a month. That makes perfect sense. And then Jennifer and I had like a Zoom hangout night, and we started talking about the official rules of auditioning and why they suck. And it became very clear to me that this topic is much more than one interview. So on that note, I'm going to let Jen take it over from here. So Jen, what do you consider to be the official rules of auditioning to begin with?
Oh my God. Okay. So like the official rules of auditioning go as follows. If you are a boy, then you must do boy stuff. And if you are a girl, then you must do girl stuff. And if you are not neither, then you are screwed. And that's the first section of the official rules of auditioning that I think are ridiculous. I know writers write, and writers write with folk in mind and ideas of characters and what those folks should be. And sometimes actors are people who are not inside of nice, tight little boxes. And when we start especially talking to young actors about auditioning, and we want to force them to find your little tight box of character and only do those things, I don't think it serves. Like I said, I worked very hard at being good at auditioning and following the rules and doing my work and trying to keep it interesting, but still, inside the thing. And it just didn't serve. And I could tell because I wasn't really getting interesting theater work. I got cool film work and cool television work, but not theater work, which is what I really wanted to do, and especially not Shakespeare work, because, there's only like 6.5 women in Shakespeare. So, and the Viola's the half. So, when you're trying to come up with a Shakespeare audition and you're a woman, oh Christ, it's like there's like, I don't know, honest to God, I think there's only 12 pieces that pretty much are the the ones that folks do. And especially if you are in your 20s or 30s, that's it. There's this tiny little group. And then people say, well, don't do the stuff people always hear. Well, why are you supposed to do that if you're a female personage and you're doing it, auditioning for Shakespeare? It's like, oh my God, you're killing us right away. So that was one of the, I first chafed at the rules. Then people started saying, well, you really should audition with stuff that fits, your ethnicity, Jen. And I went, oh, well, golly. So you what you're saying is I need to audition by choosing pieces from roles that are Black and Native American lesbians, because that's who I am. And so I don't know if you realize, but there's not a whole lot of those out there. And again, it's like, okay, so let me fit myself into these things. And constantly people are going, well, you're just auditioning with these pieces that just aren't you. It's like, yes, I am auditioning with pieces that aren't me, because nobody writes me. Y'all don't write me, not this way, not. And that's when I started just kind of exploding in my brain of, actually, there's some interesting guys roles that are a little bit closer to who I am, but but that's crashing into a big rule, right? Don't try to flip genders, because the stage will probably blow up.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, like I said, it was somewhere about turning 40. I think that was the place. I think after I came to Portland, and went to what do you call it? Interview with an agent, right? Because it's what one does. And this particular agent, who thankfully I have totally forgotten this woman's name, completely thrown her out of my memory. But she looked at my work and went, wow, you are amazing. And you are never gonna work here. Ever, ever, ever. You are, first of all, you're too damn tall. Oh. And you're not even the right color, because it's like, well, you're not really Black, but you're not like real. I mean, you're like in between stuff. You're like in a brownish, but whatever. And so nobody's going to know what to do with you. And you are so too butch. Like, I mean, forget about it. It's not going to happen. I certainly wouldn't sign you, because I'm not going to make any money off you.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I took that and I walked out of there and went, well, okay, I guess I won't. So for 2 years, I did not even try to audition for any piece of theater, for any piece of film or television or anything. I did drag. I did, because that was something I enjoyed, doing drag in clubs, and having a good time in comedy, because it was something I enjoyed. And I didn't touch it. And I think it was artist rep who was working with a playwright who was originally a dancer but became a playwright, to create a piece called The Hillsborough Story. And she was looking for a woman of color who could also play a man convincingly, and who could also flip these characters, right in the middle of a piece without any change of costume or anything like that. And I thought, what? Hey, improv lady at your service. And I went in and I thought, I'm just going to show you who I am. And I walked into the room and I looked right at the people. I was like, hey, how are you? How's it going? Oh my God, I just read this script. This is wild. I mean, I'm completely intrigued by this thing. I have no idea I'm supposed to play this Black woman who is marching so that her children can go to a decent school, and Abraham Lincoln. And it's like this is insane, and I can't wait to jump into it. Because you're not supposed to do stuff like that. You're supposed to go, hi, how do you do? And I will sit here quietly until you tell me that it's time for me to do my 2 pieces. I know. I want to talk to people because they're interesting, and I got that one. And I thought, well, that's cool. Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should just show them who I am. And so I started doing that. I started doing pieces from Shakespeare that I really liked, like the prologue from Henry V, which I just think is super cool. Like a little piece from Othello, because I thought, yeah, I can connect with that. There were just things I decided that made sense. Like, why should I pretend that I'm going to even care about? Because I think Beatrice is an extremely interesting character, but I'm doubting very seriously that somebody is going to cast this human being as Beatrice. At least, me like 20 years ago, I'm thinking. Or I guess, yeah. Like, 15 or how long have I been here? I've been in Portland like 14 years or something. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, like, I'm wondering, who's gonna because who's gonna be the Benedict, right? Who in the hell are they going to throw up there to be the Benedict? Because I got told that too. It's like, oh, that's right. Women aren't supposed to be strong. I keep forgetting that. If you show them that you're like incredibly strong and that you can be ferocious and that you can grab a stage and hold it, there are those folks who believe that is not. That's against the rules, because that's what boys is supposed to do, and or white guys, and yeah, that's been a piece. That's been a piece with and I thought, you know what? I don't want to play those roles. Just to be honest with you, those are roles I want to play. I don't want to play a little. I'm not her, so why should I try? So let me bring some intensity and ferocity to some interesting, stronger, older women, or some guys' roles that I think I would actually, frankly, do well. And that's been kind of hilarious, because in the last few years, I have played so many men here in Portland. And I'm doing one now. It's just, it's hilarious. And I don't think that it's so much about that I'm like a better man than a man, or whatever. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about some qualities that I have as an actor that people are more used to seeing in a male presenting body, right? Mm-hmm. So let's look at this kind of non-conforming human, and yeah, that might be interesting, I guess. And so having that happen, and frankly, like I said, in the last several years here, I feel like I have, it's just been an explosion of work. I have, and matter of fact, even during this COVID time, I have barely stopped. I've barely stopped. I mean, we're not supposed to have a lot of work right now, and I've been working like crazy, and it's playing some really interesting women and some interesting men and some intriguing animals. And, 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 yeah, and some cool lesbians, and it's been so much fun. So much fun. So that's what I want to. So that's what I want to talk about with some of the younger actors that I get to work with. Because last year I was annoyed that I didn't see as many actors of color going to the big general auditions that we have here, whether it's the Unified Shakes, where one year there weren't no. I was waiting to see an actor of color and there were none. And that just broke my heart. It's like, I know actors of color here in this town, and I know that they're skilled with text and can beautifully play, a number of Shakespeare roles. And I'm not seeing them at these auditions, and I'm curious as to why. So I decided, damn it, I want to do some audition workshops and auditioning for actors of color, specifically. And I had a few white folks, email me and say, hey, I think this is very interesting. I would really, really like to work with you. And I said, that's lovely. And then they self-identified as being white people. And I went, that's cool. But other folks are doing that, and they're terrific. And I think you will have a great time with them. And I'm going to work with these actors of color. So, which was fascinating. I mean, I was fascinated by that too. It's like, okay, I don't know what that's about, but what we would talk about in there, I mean, we would work together, doing the basic things. Have you broken down, what this character's purpose in the play is? Have you broken down who they are and who they talk to and where they are? All those things that you break down with when you're working an audition, right? But also things like, okay, so when you walk into this room, how are you going to walk into that room? First of all, how are you going to carry walking into that room? You're going to walk into that room like, oh, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Or you're going to walk into that room like, I know I'm worth your time. I want you to prove to me that you're worth mine. Because that's the thing that I like to share with younger people, is walk in there with all of your skills on you, right there on you. And stroll in, hit the ground, say who you are, do your thing. And when you're done, get that little smile on your face that says, I am so awesome. Thank you. And then walk out that door beautifully. Because I'm so over this idea that when we go to audition, because that's another rule, that you should look grateful. That you should look grateful that they let you in the room. Do you hear what's happening right now? Because it just... That is never how I'm going to walk into a room. I will not walk into a room that way, because I am tired. As a person of color, having white folks needing to see my deep gratitude at their opportunity, Yeah. And that was something that my wife taught me. Actually, she taught me that thing of walking into a room with, I know I am worth your time. You need to prove to me that you are worth mine. And it changes things, doesn't it?
It does. I recently told a group of college students, it is A-okay to leave a show. It is A-okay to turn something down, because you're right, Jen. When you walk into an audition, you're auditioning that company too.
Yes.
And they better damn well be treating you with respect. Why would you work with them if they weren't going to? That doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. I talked to the youngsters about know who's in the room. If you're doing general auditions, ahead of time, and you are able to know ahead of time who may be in that room. Do your research, find out who's doing what, find out who these companies are. If you can, see if you can talk to other people about them, about their experiences with them, right? And, ask the questions. Why not ask the questions when you walk in the room and say, I'll tell you what, people don't know quite what to do. And you say, hey, yeah, this the show looks interesting. What's your budget? Women, what? Whoa, what? Like, I just want to make sure that this is a show that's going to be supported. I'm just curious what your budget is. It's perfectly reasonable, right? I mean, this is what you do with any job, wouldn't you? When you research the company, make sure that they're fiscally sound. You make sure that they have a reasonable reputation in their industry. Talk to some folks who work there. That's the kind of stuff that I talk to young folks about when they're auditioning. Yeah.
There was another thing that you brought up when we were in our initial chit chat thing.
Yeah.
And that was know your rights in the audition room.
Oh, yes. That is such a huge piece. That is such a huge piece. Once again, because there is this lie that's told to us that as actors, we need to be grateful, grovelingly grateful for every opportunity to audition. So when someone asks us to do a thing, our answer needs to be yes. Now, while I believe that in improvisation, that is absolutely true. When you are presented with something, you say yes to it and you continue, right? Mm-hmm. In an audition room, however, I am me with them. And I need to make sure that I'm always thinking about my own safety and my own care. And I mean physical safety, that's part of it. I also mean my emotional safety. And my emotional and my spiritual safety. And so when you get in a room, and I've had this happen with Jen, that's an interesting take you have on that, but can you just get like a little more, like a little more black, like a little more, or conversely, if I'm auditioning for, some interesting native role, which I hoped was an interesting native role, and the guy just, I want to see that shaman. I'm looking for that shaman kind of thing. I'm like, okay, what kind of shaman are you looking for? And I'm not sure what you mean when you say that anyway. So can we break down what you actually mean? Because there's not like one shaman, and that's the thing. So what are you trying to find? Can you use some other words to help me out here? And those things happen. Those things happen here in Portland. They happen frequently here in Portland. And I think that it's okay to say, that's pretty racist, pal. I don't really even know what that means. I'm sure you're looking for a quality. So if you could describe the quality you're looking for, I think that's going to serve you better. But honestly, at this moment, as I think about it, I think I've probably done all I care to do for you. So have a great day and leave. Because do I want to work with those people? No, I don't. I'm not going to work with some folks who, I'm not going to work with people who are so flippant about their racism. Mm-hmm. That, once again, it's that idea that somehow, these white folks know more about being a Black person than, Black people do. Or even the situations where, sometimes with with folks going, I don't know. I just, I don't know. I think you got to be darker. You just got to be darker to do this. I think, and maybe that's true sometimes. I mean, I think playing certain characters, it makes sense. Like if I'm doing a biographical piece, like if I'm not going to play Nina Simone, right? Because that would be silly. But again, that's some tiptoe territory right there. That the color pieces are very, very tiptoe kind of territory, but just the basic kind of one of my friends, I remember her saying that she was asked to play a role in a show at where she had to portray a slave character. I mean, it was a really hot show, very interesting, newer work. But she's like, I thought I was done playing slaves. I thought I was done with that. And I think I have to tell you all that this is the last one because I don't honestly care how interesting they are anymore. I just think I'm done. I'm done with that. So I'll play this one, but no more. Because people don't understand what it costs a Black person to portray a slave when you're going to do it in front of 96% white folk. I mean, there's a type of trauma porn that can be that's at its worst, and at its best, it's just that, I don't know, letting people get into that fantasy that they have. I mean, yes, I know there's slave play, that particular play out there, and I haven't had a chance to see that yet, and I'm interested in it, but it costs something. It really costs something for us to do that, to do those kind of roles.
Yeah.
And I think there's some things that we can be done with, and there are plays that I really feel like we can be done with those plays. Every time I see somebody about to do, there's just stuff we can be done with,
I don't disagree with you at all. And
I'm glad you say that to the youngsters, because because sometimes if a show like way back when people were doing Equus a lot, and there's a scene, a long scene in that piece that has traditionally it is nude, right, for the young man and the young woman. And I remember being a 19-year-old walking into an audition for that show, and being asked to take my shirt off, since that's what they do in the show. And you got a bra on. Could you please take that off? Because we need to, because we're just being professionals here, And of course that's bullshit. That's horrible. There's no reason to. And actually, Equity is very specific about things like that you don't do that. But youngsters don't realize that. And actually, when you look at the text of Equus, it mentions that the guy takes off his shirt. And it mentions that the young woman takes off her shirt, but doesn't say anything about anything else. And so I saw a show where someone challenged that with that. And in that particular production, that's what happened. A young woman had her bra on and her pants on, and she took her shirt off and kept the bra on and the pants on. The young man took his shirt off and kept his pants on. And it was as powerful as if they had been naked. It was still powerful. It was totally powerful, Mm-hmm. I know. I think we just get caught up in, say again?
We fetishize is what happened.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And there's no reason for young actors to have to put up with something like that. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't even, or even if someone says, hey, I want you to slap this person, I want to see the slap happen here in the audition. And the other actor goes, sure, go ahead and slap me. I'm fine. It's like, nope. No, thank you.
Nope.
I think it's completely fine to go, nope, don't do that. I don't do that. And if it's insisted on, it's like, I see. Well, I think we're done here. Thank you so much. Bye. And just letting kids know that they can walk out. That they can walk out.
That door is not locked.
Thank you. It is not. And also that it won't be the last one.
Nope.
Because I get so lost in that piece that, every audition is the last opportunity I will ever have to act. And I can tell you right now, it is not. There is always another play. There is always another film. There is always another TV show. There is always another, because people are writing like crazy and there's always more. And the more I'm really solid on this, that the more of you that you bring into that room, the better your work will be. Just the better your work will be. If you're a person who likes to look folks in the eye and say, hey, how you doing? I am really glad to see you here today. So let me show you what I have. Then be that person. If you really feel better with, I like to walk into the room and I'm going to stand until someone says a thing to me, and then I will state my name, do my pieces, and say, is there anything else? Thank you. And then leave. I mean, if that's who you are, go for it. Do that thing. Safety in the room is huge, and it gets violated like mad, way too much. Well, or people asking those horrible questions of you, the questions about who you are and what you do and what you like. No one is obliged to get the information from you about your real personal stuff. Like, no one needs to know if you've ever been sexually abused. No one in an audition room needs that information. No one in an audition room needs the information about what kind of partners you have right now. No one needs any information about your life as a sexual human being in an audition room, period. You're not obliged to get into that conversation.
No, it is none of their business at all. One, I'm pretty sure that's some kind of like work violation anyways. I mean, what we're talking about is a job interview.
Yes.
And you wouldn't be expected to ask to slap somebody in an office interview.
For real.
Come on. When you have to take your shirt off in an office interview, why should you take your shirt off at an audition?
That's how I feel about it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's gross. And especially if the role is for a person of color and then there's a white director sitting there saying, oh, well, I just need to know what your body looks like before I cast you in this. No, that's gross. That's for their own personal pleasure that has nothing to do with you or your work.
Exactly. I mean, even, there's, and it doesn't matter whether that human being is a man or that human being is a woman or a human being is a non-binary person. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Then I mean, I've had those conversations too of, you need to make a decision about whether this is the actor you want to hire or whether there is a different actor you want to hire. But I am not playing this game. Yeah.
I think we're getting close to probably reaching our time limit on this.
Probably, yes.
But are there any final words you would like to just say, throw out there before we close this one out?
Yeah, I think that one of the ways to that I think that one of the ways that I think that white folks can combat racism inside an audition room is, before anything comes out of their mouth, is to envision asking it of their own, of someone in their own lives that they care about deeply. Would you ask that of your, son or daughter? Would you ask that of your niece? Would you ask that? Would you ask that of your mom? That's a big one. Would you ask that of your mom? Really? To really to take it in, to really take that in, and also, if you're going to, well, maybe you need to do some anti-racism work, frankly. Maybe it's maybe if you're having trouble finding, those actors of color, it might be time to do some anti-racism work.
To see what's wrong with you instead of what's wrong with them.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're a young actor going into an audition room, yes, I think that is the piece, is to remember that you are everything that you are. You have all of those skills, you have all of those talents, and you are a person who is absolutely worth everything. And you are worth their time. You are so bringing what is worth their time to see. It's okay to ask the question of whether they are worth yours.
Well, that's excellent. Jen, do you want to tell us about any projects before we get going?
Sure. I can do that right now. I am doing a show with Profile Theater, the Mineola Twins. It's great. It's a show of the Jens. Jen Rose doing the twins, and I'm playing the lovers of the twins, which is fun and a lot of fun and silly. And yes, it is totally remote, and going to be an online piece. And I know it opens at the end of February, but that is as close as I can get to it.
I will make sure to put that in the Crave email blast then.
That's cool. Also, I'm appearing in a web series called Assigned Female at Birth. And the first season of that web series has been dropping. I think there are 5 episodes up. And we are presently working on filming the second season. And it's really fun. The episodes are short. They're about 10 minutes long each. And I get to play a Black lesbian.
Yay!
Fun.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say that was a great interview. Thank you, Jen, for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great to me. Thanks a lot, Sarah.
That's our interview. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to keep seeing more of it, please donate at cravetheater.org. You can also follow us on social media or subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you really like what you saw and you want to support us every single month, a $5 monthly donation goes a pretty long way with us. And like I said in my previous video, I would like to start paying the people I interview. So, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day.